the bucket and a foul. Breakaway. Io.
Oh, meet me at the rim and don't be late.
Give me the hot sauce. Did you not get the memo? Derek Rose can go upstairs.
Oh, he's got Giddey to steal. Right for the lead. Yeah!
Big time plays. Big time plays.
Giddey for the win. Go!
Oh, my God. I cannot believe this.
Improbable.
Hey, everybody. Welcome into a brand new edition of the Gimme the Hot Sauce podcast. Tim Kelley, red face as ever, is alongside with Stacey King. How's your summer going, Tim?
Well, I plan on getting more sunburn tomorrow, Mark. It's going to be a beautiful day.
What do you got planned for the weekend?
A little bit of boating, a little bit of drinking, so raise the blood pressure and get burnt. I got invited on someone's boat. I don't know.
Okay, there we go.
I still don't have one back yet.
Whose boat you going on?
I'm working on it. Just some old friends.
Who's old friend? I know him. Who is it?
Bob Taylor.
Wow.
So Stacey left out again, huh?
You know what? You find out who your true friends are.
I know.
Every week.
You know,
Here
I am, Mark. Here I am volunteering to help him with his squatter problem. I don't even know the guy. I volunteered to get some of my people in the underworld to go get him,
Yeah.
And look how he treats me.
You can't bring that up, man.
Yeah.
We already made a deal.
Listen, I'm bringing that up, man. I'm
We
sorry.
already made a deal.
I'm sorry. He needs out of there, man. If anybody wants to volunteer, just take a volunteer for trash removal.
DM me on Twitter.
Yeah, DM me on Twitter or Instagram. We'll be happy to hire you.
It's all cash.
Well, we're getting into some dangerous areas, so let's make that segue into the sports world. And there is a point of contention right now going on with 4 restricted free agents in the NBA trying to get deals with their teams. One of them, of course, Josh Giddey, who's been able to come to a middle ground with the Chicago Bulls. Recent reports indicate that they could be $7-8 million apart on an annual basis. And, I think both sides want to get this done, Stacey. It's just a question of what's the best midpoint that both sides can live with.
Well, listen, and I know the Bulls stance, and pretty much most teams don't want to drop $30 million on a player. That they don't really. I'm not saying they don't think he deserves it.
Well, there's no other competition.
The marketplace is not dictating that you have to pay him that. So if you don't have to pay him that, the Bulls could take a hardline stance and say, look, this is what we're going to offer. You could take it or leave it, or you can sign a shorter-term deal, maybe a 3 or 4 year deal, and become an unrestricted free agent later on at some point, and then try to make up that money some other time.
Well, we all know the story of Jimmy Butler betting on himself, saying he'd have a big year and then he'd be worth more in the open market. There is a danger on both sides. If Josh Giddey decides to take the 1-year qualifying offer and then be an unrestricted free agent next summer, he could then walk away. The Bulls get nothing. Or if he has a bad season or gets injured, then he's in a bad spot. So nobody really wants to go that route.
Well, I mean, the biggest thing is the gamble of getting hurt, because, you go out there and they say, he had a hurt ankle coming into when we got him in the trade, last season from the Olympics. So you don't want to be in that situation, Mark, where, you get hurt early in the season, you're missing games. That only hurts your cause. So, but if you're his agent, you're like, look, dude, the numbers you put up in the second half, you're going to put up those numbers again with the Bulls being the full-time guy again. So I'm betting on myself. If I'm his agent, I'm saying let's do it, because I feel like he's going to be a guy who's going to float around a triple-double all season long. He's going to be a guy that's going to get rebounds, assists, and he's going to score. Hopefully his jump shot's better. He's been working on his jump shot to be a legitimate outside threat to force teams to have to play him a different way defensively instead of backing off of him, daring him to shoot. Having Kobe back, that situation is going to help his game. Having another guy alongside him, that can take some pressure off him as far as scoring is concerned. Because Josh is a pass-first point guard. He's not a guy that's going to go out there and get his. He's going to take what the defense gives, but he would prefer to get the assist. So he's going to have guys around him. Possibly Vucevic will be back. Io looks like he's going to be back. So he's going to have guys that he's familiar with that will be able to put the ball in the basket.
Yeah, you mentioned Vucevic, and our buddy Casey Johnson reported a couple of days ago that all indications are Vuce will be at training camp. There's no plans to try to buy him out or make a trade at this point because there was no market in the trade market over the past month or so. And it looks like Vuce is going to be back, and they're going to see if maybe there's more interest in the trade deadline in February. And the way the team is constructed right now, there's really no harm in bringing him back. People forget he's coming off a year where he averaged like 18 and 11 and shot 40% on threes.
Yeah, he gives you some stability, at the 5 spot. You couldn't let him walk if you're the Bulls. I don't care if there wasn't a market out there for him. you can't let him walk and get nothing in return, because as soon as he's out on that free agent market, it would be 24 hours he'd sign with Golden State, the Lakers, or someone like that. And that would really look bad. So if you're the Bulls, you're like, you know what? Let's just hold on to him. He'll give us some stability, to start the season in October, and then November, December, and when the trade deadline comes, if he's putting up those same numbers and the team is close to, needing one piece away like you see every year, maybe they're willing to make a trade for him.
And there were some reports that Ayo Dosunmu may have been involved in some trade chatter. KC said that there was some interest. I think the Lakers expressed some interest in trying to trade for Ayo. But it looks like he, too, will be here for the start of training camp. And the problem is that they're not going to be able to extend him off that low number. So he's going to come in where he's going to be an unrestricted free agent next summer as well.
And that's dangerous because, Ayo means so much to this team because he does so many different things. He's played so many different roles since he's been here. He's been a starter. He's been a reserve. He's got big minutes. He had to fight his way into the rotation as a rookie. He's one of those guys, in my opinion. This is just my opinion. He is a foundational piece. He's a guy that's going to be in your top 7 rotation, a guy that can do so many different things, guard anybody at the guard position, going to be able to get out in transition and run. He does all the little bitty things that makes your team that can take a playoff team to the next level if the Bulls ever get to that point. You don't want to give that guy away, plus he's still young.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. Ayo Dosunmu, of course, is a guy that did not finish the season last year because of injury, but he is a player that you can count on, a good two-way player. Bulls have a glut of guards, but he's a guy that they want to bring back, and we'll see how he fits in the rotation. One guy who will not be with the Bulls next year is the guy who was one of the stars of Summer League. Just news today, Javon Freeman Liberty agreed to a contract with the Brisbane Bullets of the NBL in Australia. So he's taking his talents overseas, and I'm sure he got frustrated. He and his agent are like, why can't I find some guaranteed money in the league? He averaged over 20 points a game in the Summer League, but, there are a glut of guards, and it's tougher, I think, for a smaller guy to try to make his mark and get some guaranteed money. Now, I'm sure he's getting some assurances out in Australia that he's going to get big money, guaranteed money, and starting playing time.
Well, it's unfortunate because he can't play at this level. Unfortunately, you got so many guaranteed contracts, it's hard to bring in a guy and put him on your roster and say we're going to sign you when pretty much there's 12 or 13 guys guaranteed. Unless a team's going to cut someone or trade someone, which it doesn't seem to. I mean, the market this summer has pretty been dry. There's been not a lot of movement, going around. There's been some buyouts, but there's not a lot of trades going around. You thought after the draft that it would pick up and teams would be moving guys around. But unfortunately it's not. He'll go over to Australia. He'll put up big numbers. He'll probably average 30 points a game. You see what Kendrick Nunn has been able to do over there in the EuroLeague. He's positioned himself to make a run back into the NBA at some point. So I can see, Liberty doing the same thing, going over there, putting up some numbers. It's a good league. It's not the best league in America, but for a guy going over to another country, Australia is not a bad place to go.
Yeah.
It's not a bad place to go. It's a beautiful country.
Yeah, so we wish him well. Hopefully he got a really good contract with the Brisbane Bullets. That's news that just came out today. The other restricted free agent I want to talk about is the saga of Jonathan Kuminga. This thing just keeps getting weirder and weirder as the weeks go on. Clearly, he is not a favorite of Steve Kerr, our good friend, the former Bulls guard, and now, of course, the coach of the Golden State Warriors. He's been in and out of the rotation. He was benched during the playoffs. Then they had to play him after Steph Curry got hurt. He put up big numbers in that series where they got eliminated in the second round. It's kind of a weird story, but Kuminga not only wants $30 million a year, he wants some guarantees that he's going to be a featured player, and Golden State's saying, no, we're not interested in that. I guess Sacramento now is pretty hot on his trail, but what they're offering doesn't seem to be really attractive to Golden State.
Well, I mean, teams know that Golden State's trying to unload him, okay? Nobody's going to pay him $30 million. I'm sorry. He's not a $30 million player. He's a very good young player. Can he at some point be that? Maybe he can, but you haven't seen enough of him in a starring role to pay him $30 million. He's not like Josh Giddey, where he's been a starter in Oklahoma City. He was, Josh helped to turn around in Oklahoma City to where they are now. And then he came over to the Bulls in a trade and really had a great second half. Kuminga's had spurts at Golden State where you go, wow, this kid could be special. And then there's times he disappears. And then he fell out of favor with Steve Kerr. And I love Steve Kerr. One thing's about coaches that I sometimes get upset with coaches about, sometimes they make things personal. And it's not about winning and losing. It's about a personal, I don't like you for whatever reason. I've seen it throughout my career. I've seen it happen to a lot of players. And it's sad that, coaches do that kind of stuff because at the end of the day, you want to win a basketball game. If this guy, if he's coming to work on time every day and he's not late, he's not causing problems, and he's doing everything he's supposed to do, how can you not like a guy like that?
And the weird thing is, too, that Golden State's been pretty open in their strategy. They want to sign Kuminga just so they have the flexibility to trade him.
Yeah.
They really aren't interested in having him as a foundation piece of the franchise.
No, because they know that he's a very talented piece that if they can get him at the price they want to get him at and then move him, it's only going to help Golden State. See, they've these teams, when they start putting stuff out on their players and making it a desperate situation where teams know you're trying to move them at all costs, they're not going to be in a hurry to help you. They're going to be like, oh, so you want 3 first-round picks for him? And I don't see anybody else just knocking on your door. So why would I give you 3 first-round picks? Yeah. I'll give you a bag of Doritos and a case of Fanta Orange, because you're not even playing the guy. Yeah. It's the same thing with Josh Giddey. Oklahoma City came out and said he was going to be a role player. He was going to come off the bench. They said that before anybody was even trading for him. And they let him know, if you want to go look around, your agent want to go try to find some teams to go do that, because they gave the keys to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, which now they won a championship. So it was a good move in Oklahoma City's part. But everybody knew. These teams know. Same thing with Zach LaVine. Bulls are trying to move Zach LaVine. Zach LaVine should have garnered first-round pick somewhere. I mean, he's that kind of player. He should have got a first-round pick. But teams knew that the Bulls were desperate to move him. So therefore, why are we going to give you what you want when we know you're desperate to move him? So they play hardball. Now, me personally, if you tell me a guy like Kuminga, we're going to give you 2 second-round picks for a guy who's a lottery pick, and it's showing you in his league he can play in this league. His career numbers have gone up every season, and you're going to give me junk. And what I tell you about it a month ago, thank you. Call back when you're serious. Click. I'm hanging the phone up because I know what this kid is worth. We may not be playing him for whatever reason, but I know this kid is an NBA player. I know his numbers show it, and he's played on a Golden State team who's been an elite team. It's not like he's playing like for Brooklyn and putting up numbers. Like you look at Cam Thomas. People think, Cam Thomas is averaging 23, 24 points a game, on top 10 in the NBA. But people think those are inflated stats because he plays on a bad team.
Somebody's got to shoot. Yeah,
but somebody got to score. But in Golden State's Golden State situation, that's not Kuminga, because Kuminga is playing with Steph Curry, he was playing with Klay Thompson, he was playing with Draymond Green, and he was still putting up numbers.
Yeah. I know you guys every month always go to the mailbox and get your copy of Men's Health magazine. You see Luka on the cover. Man, it's interesting. I mean, it's really a total body transformation. We'll see how much better that makes him as a player, but he certainly has put in the work to lose the weight.
I think LeBron's made some introductions.
No. Luka, no. LeBron ain't made no introductions. Luka's on a kill mission.
Yeah.
He's on a kill mission. Last year, the trade really, really kind of threw him for a loop. He never really recovered from that. Right. He did never want to leave Dallas. And the way they did him and the way they moved him the way they didn't sit well with him. He wasn't in shape going in there because he was rehabbing an ankle. And so I think now, and the Lakers have pretty much said, here's the keys to the franchise. You're going to be our guy. And
he could win the MVP this year.
And now you see LeBron kind of being in his feelings a little bit.
Yeah.
He's not coming to the facilities to work out. I saw something on Twitter. I know his company, Clutch, owns the old Clippers facility, right?
Right. They said that's why that Clippers.
Yeah, okay, but why would you take that picture in front of a Clippers thing? Yeah. And why, if you're the Clutch, why would you have Clutch things on there? Why would you still have the Clippers things?
Everything LeBron does.
Yeah, it's calculated.
Message,
yeah.
So
and it's a little message. No, it's just the fact that he's letting the Lakers know, like, I'm not coming to the facility. I'm upset. You guys are turning the keys over to Luka, blah, blah, blah. And so I'm not going to come around. I'm not doing all this. And there's word, that he's hearing the rumbling, like, the new owner, the guys who own the Dodgers are saying, hey, enough of this clown show. We're trying to win here. And those guys are going to try to win. They're going to put the money into the team. Unlike the buses who had it before, they want to win. And so you see it with the Dodgers. They're going to pay whatever it takes. They'll go over the luxury tax to win, and they're prepared to do that. And either you're going to be with them or you're not. And they're kind of tired of the circus that comes along with LeBron, especially the last part of his career where it's all about him. You get who you want, trade this guy to get this guy. Then you get all the people you want, you still can't win.
Luka is going to be playing for Slovenia in Eurobasket, which if you don't follow international basketball, that's a big deal. And Giannis is going to play for Greece. A lot of the top players are going to be over there competing before NBA training camp's over. So we'll see how Luka fares with the new body. And he normally doesn't spend much time in the United States during the summers. He's been here this past week. New York, Chicago, Los Angeles. I saw something on X where he was at a Chicago playground passing out shoes. He's got a new shoe line.
I thought I saw him with a Chicago, like a Chicago shirt on, like a Bulls shirt or something.
I don't
know. I just saw a picture. It might have been AI. I don't know. But he was in Chicago, and he had because he represents Jordan Brand, so he had Jordan Brand shorts on. But I swear the picture had like Chicago. He had something with Chicago.
I think it was a Stacey King Give Me the Hot Sauce.
I'm just
logo.
saying, man. I'm just saying, unless it was Photoshop. Because then the big quote was, "Oh, could he end up being here? He's not coming here, bro."
No.
They're talking about having him
He's
and Jokić,
taking over LA.
him and Jokić being here on 2027.
That's a good plan.
Let me tell you something. If Jokić wins one more horse race, he's done in basketball, baby.
Yeah, how about the video?
I'm gonna tell you something.
He's crying, spraying champagne on the horse.
He was more excited about the horse race.
Way more excited.
And showed more emotion over the horse race win than he did when he won the championship.
He doesn't know who Larry O'Brien is.
Hey, he sure knows who that little
Just the
jockey
name on a
won.
trophy, yeah.
You know that jockey won that horse? I mean, he almost got ran over by his own horse trying to go out there and celebrate.
See the jockey that's sitting on his shoulder afterwards?
No, I didn't see that.
Just kidding.
Yeah, see, I was just spreading rumors. Spreading rumors
He'll
like
probably,
always.
I think Jokić should be one of those guys that retires young. All of a sudden, he decides.
I was listening to DeMarcus Cousins on a podcast, and he was talking about that. And he was saying that, he used to have locker when he was in Denver. He locker next to Jokić. And he said they'd have these conversations. And he said, it's the weirdest thing. He said, this guy doesn't care if he's the best player in the league. He doesn't care about that. Yeah. He said DeMarcus Cousins said he told him that I could see myself retiring in a year or so. This is before he won the championship. And so this guy is not defined by basketball. Everybody thinks he is. He's not defined. That's what makes it scary. Just imagine if he was really, 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 really focused on basketball. And he's already, you see the numbers he's putting up right now. It might even be even more lethal if he was like really focused on basketball.
Yeah, he did an interview recently where he just kind of mentioned, I'll probably play another year or two. And then he stopped suddenly like, well, wait a minute, I shouldn't be saying all this stuff. So, obviously he would like to win another championship, I'm sure, with this team. Denver's reloaded. I think they're going to be in the mix for the title this year. But don't be surprised if after a couple of years he goes, you know what? I'm just going back to my home country, train my horses, and be left alone.
Because he was raised. He's been working with horses since he's a little boy.
Yeah.
So this is a passion of his.
Playing basketball was his incentive from his parents.
His parents said,
if you play basketball, then we'll give you the horses.
Yes, we'll give you the horses. We'll let you work at the horse track, and that's how he got into basketball. But his first passion is horses. Like when you saw him when his horse won. Yeah. Man, I was like, dude, this dude crying? Man, I said, what kind of horse is it? What kind of horse race is that with the little carriage? Have you ever seen him in one?
I've seen it. There's been videos.
Dude, he looks like a giant in that dang thing. Man, that is hilarious. But happy for him because you know what? He does something outside. When the season's over, he's not working in the gym.
Brings him a lot of joy.
But when he comes ready to play, when October rolls around, he's ready to go.
Other NBA news since we last talked to you. Officially, Billy Donovan, a contract extension with the Bulls. We don't know the term, how many years it's going to be, but you have to believe it's kind of lined up with the front office with AK and Mark. Yeah,
because I think they got new deals done too. Mm-hmm. I know it's not a popular choice, from Bulls fans. That they with Billy getting a new contract. Listen, this is a young team, and he's a good coach for a young team. He's a guy that can, get these guys, this young team to play a certain way. I know it's not a popular choice, but who else you going to get out there? Who else you going to get out there to take this team once to come in and
Tibbs
rebuild?
Back.
Yeah, Tibbs is free.
Well, I don't know if Tibbs would come back and I would investigate it, but I don't think Tibbs would want to come back in a rebuild situation. You would have to have enormous talent for him to come back. Like an Orlando or Detroit that's right on the cusp of turning the corner. And he knows he's a guy that can get him to at least to the first or second round. I can see him doing that. How close are the Bulls to being a team that's in the second round?
And as you mentioned, it is a transition to a younger group. We talked about last week, Modest being the face of the franchise. You're bringing in Noah Senge, who's 18 years old. They definitely have made a change in direction. Vuce has 1 year left on his contract, then he'll probably be with another team. This team is really skewing young. Everybody on the roster just about is a younger guy.
Well, and then you wonder, what's going to happen to Zach Collins and Jalen Smith.
Yeah, last year.
Yeah, those guys played extremely well in the second half. Kevin Herter. You got some questions to answer. Because right now you got to sit up there and say, okay, listen, the team that finished in the second half is a team that can honestly, if they can be healthy, could be in a playoff caliber team, not just a play-in team. Because if you let that team play in the second half and they play like that in the first half, they would have been a playoff team. So now you're talking starting a whole season with this almost the same roster. You got Trey Jones back, which is a big pickup for them. You play the same roster. Let's see what they do.
Well, the East is completely wide open.
Oh yeah,
I mean, you've got a team like Philadelphia, which bottomed out last year. They were tanking at the end to get a better draft pick to try to keep their pick. It would have gone, I believe, to Oklahoma City if it wasn't in the bottom 8 or something like that. So they kept it. They got VJ Edgecombe to go with the group they have. But it really all comes down to whether Embiid can stay healthy for a full season. But they could be really good. Atlanta could be good.
Here's
Detroit.
Here's the team. Cleveland. Remember I told you that's America. Cleveland's going to be the team that represents the Eastern Conference if they can stay healthy. Because Darius Garland's out right now with a toe injury. So he's going to be out probably the start of the season. Lonzo's going to be the starting point guard there. That was a great pickup for them.
Oh, it sure was.
It was a great pickup for them. Lonzo not only solves a lot of their problems, he gives them a big guard. You can play all three of those guys at the same time. That means you got 3 ball handlers on the floor at the same time. Zoe rebounds at 6'6". He can guard anybody on the floor. He's going to get everybody involved. He's going to make the game easier for everybody. And then they still got the 2 big guys, Allen and Mobley, who people still have a hard time matching up with those guys. Last year they got beaten in the playoff, which was upset by Indiana because Garland was out and Mobley missed the first couple of games of the playoffs, and they thought they were just going to dog walk Indiana, and that's not what happened. If they're healthy this year, if they're healthy at the end, that's the number 1 team right there. I don't care what Philadelphia does because you can't count on Embiid. You can't Embiid when he comes out in the season and says he doesn't want to play on Wednesday nights. Yeah. That concerns me. That concerns me. If I'm a coaching staff, I'm the organization. You're telling us now you don't want to play on Wednesday nights.
Yeah, I think the 3rd best team in the East now is Orlando. They've made some great moves. They acquired
who's 2nd best team?
Desmond Bain, Knicks.
The 3rd best team is, Mark? I disagree with you.
Okay.
Detroit. Detroit's going to be the 3rd best team.
I like Detroit. Cade Cunningham has elevated himself to, being almost a superstar there.
They addressed a couple of issues. Of course, Beasley with the gambling allegations, they had wanted to re-sign him, but they didn't do that. They went and got Duncan Robinson, who gives them a legitimate three-point shooter. He's been one of the most consistent three-point shooters in the league in his career. So they got someone there where Cade Cunningham now has a shooter. You're going to get Ivy back, which gives him it's like getting a new draft pick, like getting an all-star caliber player back. Even though he wasn't an all-star, you get a dynamic player back to go along with Thompson and Duran, this young athletic team. And they finished six in the playoff race last year, considering the fact that they had the record of losing consecutive games.
Incredible jump. Yeah.
And they did a 360 to get to the 6th position. So what does that tell you? Going out picking up 2 veterans like Beasley and then what's the other kid's name? The wing player. I just got a brain freeze right now.
They picked up a guard, and I was trying to think.
But he's always on.
Played at Michigan.
He's the guy that replaced Gimme in Philadelphia. The wing player.
You guys talk among yourselves.
Yeah, talk among yourselves. I don't know why I can't remember his name because he's been on like 100 teams. Tobias Harris.
Okay.
Way to go, Nick. Way to bring something to the show. So Tobias Harris, picking up Tobias Harris, who is a solid pro, solid in the locker room. The players love him. You got Beasley, who had a rejuvenated career last year with the 3-point ball, and that turned their whole season around. So, and then their coaching staff did a great job with these young players.
The guy was thinking that they added Karis LeVert. He had been with Cleveland and Atlanta. Now he's in Detroit.
Oh, I don't know about that one.
He was a good bench scorer.
You know what, Mark? He can give you some points, but his defense is not very, not high level.
And they get Jaden Ivey back, who missed.
Jaden Ivey's the key. Jaden Ivey's the key. Because losing him last year, really hurt them because, having a kid that is athletic and can pair with Cade Cunningham, like they were really working well together. And he's starting to figure out how to play, because he's so fast and so athletic. You can see the game is slowing down for him. And then he got that cheap injury from, Cole Anthony, who dove into his leg and broke his leg. That was like a freak accident. But getting him back, it was an assassination attempt. Somebody trying to get us.
Get the doors locked.
Oh, Lord, make sure. Hey, where's our security? We're making sure checking who's coming in the studio. Oh, my goodness. But anyway, sorry about that, America. We got people coming in and out of the studio. We don't know who's here. People delivering pizza. I don't know what's going on here. But, getting Ivy back is going to be huge. I think Detroit's the second best team. I think the Knicks.
Second best
team.
Wow.
Behind Cleveland, number 1. I go Detroit, number 2. I would go probably New York or Orlando 3 and 4. Listen, Tibbs not New York. Okay? That changes the whole dynamic of that team.
Mike Brown now the head coach. Jesus.
Okay. That's why I'm saying you can't until I see them play.
Yeah.
I'm not buying Nick stocks right now. They got the same team coming back, but they ain't the same coach. That Tibbs is a guy that gets you playing when you don't want to play. When you come to the game that night and you don't feel like going, I might sit down. Tibbs going to make you play. He going to get you out there and you going to play.
It was funny. Speaking of the Knicks, they just gave Mikal Bridges an extension, 4 years, $150 million. And one of the points in the article was he did the team a favor by not taking an extra $6 million. When you're making $150 million, is it really that big of a sacrifice? And the quote was, because it'll give the team more flexibility and they're building their roster out. And I'm like, what are you going to do? $6 million, you're still way over the cap. It's not going to change anything.
Listen. I don't listen. I mean, I like Mikal Bridges. I thought he struggled parts of the season last year. I think
he didn't play that great in the playoffs.
No, going from being like a number 1 guy, number 2 guy in Phoenix, and then in Brooklyn, and then coming there now trying to have to figure out how to play with Jalen Brunson, as the number 1 guy, number 2 guy, and Cat Towns. I think it kind of got to him a little bit because he struggled with his 3-point shooting. He used to be a really good 3-point shooter. He looked awful the first half of the season. Couldn't make anything.
Yeah, so the East is wide open. We're going to see how things develop. Obviously, I think Cleveland is, like Stacey mentioned, is clearly at the top. We kind of disagree on 2 and 3, but that's all right. We'll play 82 games. We'll figure it all out.
We'll figure it out, baby. We always got the tape.
In the upcoming season. Yeah, we mark that tape.
Mark that tape.
Hey, before we get into some football and baseball talk, we want to tell you about one of our great sponsors, our buddy Jeff Vucevic. He'll take care of all your insurance needs, auto, home, and business. He is our nationwide rep. Jeff Vucevic, you can reach him at jeffvuk.com. That's VUK.com. The phone number 847-825-4783. Tell him Stacey King sent you.
You're not going to get a discount. I'm just going to throw that out there right now, America. So if you guys say Stacey sent you, I'm just telling you ahead of time, you're getting no discount. But you
maybe
will get
if they
this,
sing
though.
the jingle, it'll help.
If you go there and you say Nationwide is on your side, you might get something. I don't know what you might get. You might get a week's supply of bubble gum. I don't know. You might get a free pen. You don't know. A balloon that says Jeff Vuk lives here. I don't know. I mean,
yeah. Give him a call. Jeff Vucevic, our good buddy, nationwide agent. Hey, I got a chance to watch football last night. The Hall of Fame game. We'll talk about that and a whole lot more as Give Me the Hot Sauce rolls on. Well, it's time for football when we see the annual gathering in Canton, Ohio, as they induct the latest class to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. The Los Angeles Chargers play the Detroit Lions in the Hall of Fame game, and the Chargers look pretty good. They obviously most of the starters sat out, but it was just fun watching football again. I mean, it gives you revitalized to see that sport going again.
You could see the promise in Trey Lance, couldn't you?
He looked good, but I mean, he's playing against second and third teamers. It's hard to tell.
Well,
but he's a guy that was drafted highly, and he's been this is his third team.
Was that 2 first-round picks plus the pick?
He went from San Francisco to Dallas. Now he's with the Chargers.
Well, I tell you what, any Jim Harbaugh team is going to be ready to play. You can tell that, watching that game. He's a detail-oriented coach. And you can just tell they were flying to the ball.
Lance made some good throws in that.
And he made some good throws. He's Jim Harbaugh.
Almost the whole game. It was crazy.
Well, Jim Harbaugh is a quarterback guru guy, though. I mean, he likes those dual threat quarterbacks. He had Colin Kaepernick in San Francisco. He loves those quarterbacks that can get out and run and get out of the pocket and make plays and move the chain. So he's got somebody like that in Trey Lance, who's got a big time arm, just doesn't have a lot of big time experience. Even though he was a first round pick, San Francisco had a lot of high hopes for him. Just didn't work out. And so now, Dallas had him, and, he's playing behind Dak Prescott. He wasn't ever going to play there. So, it's a situation now. He's got a chance. He's not going to play behind Herbert either. But if Herbert gets hurt, which he's very durable, because he used to be a tight end in high school, as they said. So he's a real tough kid. I don't think he's going to play there, but they may have some packages. You can see him out there in, third down situations where he could be a dual threat guy.
Well, here in Chicago, there's been all kinds of coverage of the first training camp for Ben Johnson, and people are riding the roller coaster with Caleb Williams. One day it's like, oh, he's getting intercepted in 7-on-7. He doesn't know the plays. You can't get him out of the huddle, and then he looks great, made some great throws. People overreact. The one thing with training camp is they let the media watch, so you get almost the play-by-play on what's going on every drill, on everything, and I think sometimes it's overanalysis. It's a new offense. Ben Johnson's admitted they're throwing all kinds of things at Caleb Williams. They know it's going to be a process of him trying to learn the offense, and he may get off to a slow start. The problem is that they need to win games early because their schedule just gets tougher as the season goes on.
Well, and be careful, Bears fan. This is what you did to Justin Fields. You hooped and hollered. Justin Fields holds the ball too long. We want Caleb Williams. Now you got Caleb Williams, and this is something I said when all this was going on during that time. It's like, okay, what's going to happen if Caleb Williams is not the guy everybody thought he was? And now you look at Jaden McDaniels down in Washington in the same draft class, and now people are, we should have drafted him, Yeah. And so you got to be very careful. Plus, he's had, different offensive coordinators. He didn't even have a quarterback coach when he was his rookie year. So, now he's got a coach that is a well-known offensive guru. You heard him say he's giving him a lot of stuff, throwing a lot of stuff at him. So he's going to struggle a little bit. But I like what they've done. They got the offensive line, shored up. They went out and really upgraded the offensive line. And I think to take pressure off this kid, you got to be able to run the ball. If you're not able to run the ball and you're putting it in his hands and saying throw the ball 40-plus times, you're going to see a lot of mistakes. So if they got a running game and they can move the ball, on first down, cut that, first and, 2nd and 5, 2nd and 4 that are manageable, you can run the ball, you'll take some pressure off him.
One of the guys that's really stood out during the opening week of training camp is their second-round pick out of Missouri, Luther Burden III. There was a lot of talk during the OTAs and the offseason program. He had a soft tissue injury. He was sitting out. People were wondering what's the deal. And then it took him a little longer to sign his contract, but he got that done. He got in camp, and people are saying his speed is real. He was kind of bitter that he wasn't a first-round draft pick. He said he's going to pay all the teams that passed him over in the draft when we get to the season. But, anytime you can bring that dimension of elite speed, it just opens up so many things for your offense.
Well, because they got so many guys that, that can play in the middle of the field. Not a lot of guys that can, get deep and take the top off the defense. And having a guy like Burden, who is a first-round talent. He is a first-round talent. For whatever reason, he didn't go in the first round, but he is a first-round talent. And if you can get him in situations where he's going up against the third cornerback or safety, you're going to have some big plays with this guy. And it's going to open up things in the middle of the field. Your tight end, Komet, is going to have wide open.
Loveland's look good early.
And Loveland looks really well. So they're going to be able to run the middle of the field. DJ Moore is going to be DJ Moore because now I think the rapport with DJ Moore and Caleb Williams will be a lot better because now you've had a year under your belt with him. Your security blanket, Keenan Allen is gone because that's the guy he always went to when everything was in trouble. He find Keenan Allen because he worked out with Keenan Allen over summer. Now you got to work with all these different pieces that are all big time parts. So you're gonna be able to spread the ball around. But I think DJ Moore will be his guy when the chips go down. I got to find him.
Yeah, the Bears open their preseason schedule August 10th. The Miami Dolphins will be at Soldier Field. They're going to have a practice before they play that game on the weekend. One of the big stories coming to the NFL, we talked about it last week, Jerry Jones kind of sticking his foot in his mouth. Well, it's come back to haunt him. News today, we're recording on Friday afternoon, that Micah Parsons is asking for a trade. He doesn't like the way his requests for a new contract have been handled. Obviously didn't like the thing about Jerry Jones saying, well, he got hit by a car.
Wow.
He didn't handle that very well. And Parsons basically saying, I'm done. He said goodbye to Dallas. He wants a trade. And if somebody wants to trade for him, I know Bears fans are like, well, we'd love to have him. It'll cost you a king's ransom. One of the contracts they compared it to was when Mack got traded. Khalil Mack got traded to the Bears. They gave up a boatload of picks. They're saying it's going to be even more for Micah Parsons.
Oh, yeah, because he's still young, and he's one of the most dynamic, edge rushers. The thing about these football players, they know, in their mind that there's a short shelf life. So they're going to try to get as much money as possible. At the end of the day, you're still in the contract. The Cowboys don't have to do anything. They can just sit there and say, you know what, play on your contract, and then we'll work on it at the end of the season. But you don't want to alienate your star players. When you start alienating your star players, that causes problems because other star players look at it when it's my turn to get paid. Am I going to have to go through this?
And it happens in Dallas all the time.
Oh, yeah.
CeeDee Lamb just put something out saying, hey, just get the guy his money.
Yeah. And he got paid.
Yeah.
He got paid. They went out and got George Pickett from Pittsburgh. You know, he's under contract. I mean, they took care of Dak Prescott. You know, they've taken care of some guys, but they haven't taken care of, you know, the foundational piece on their defensive side of the ball.
But it's always a long, drawn-out process in Dallas. You know, Jerry Jones has always wanted to prove that he's got the power. He wants to string these things out. And what he's doing is harming the continuity. A lot of people think Dallas could have a bounce-back year, but if you're alienating your best defensive player, that's not a good sign.
Well, I mean, Jerry owns the team. He's been like this ever since he took over the team. That's why him and Jimmy Johnson kept butting heads.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Jimmy Johnson is great when it comes to draft and evaluating players, but you know, Jerry Jones would never allow him to do it. You know, he always wanted to be in the middle of that. You know, let's take this guy because he went to Arkansas. Well, no, he's a terrible player. Let's get this guy. You know what I'm saying? So when you start to get involved in your, you know, you heard Parsons talk. You know, Parsons talking about it. You know, that, you know, you come out here, you risk your life to play these games, and then you don't get appreciated by the owners and the organization. You know, we come out here every day. I play at a high level. I don't miss games. I'm playing injured, and now it's time for me to get paid. You don't take care of me. So, you know, these star players now are asking for trades, but they really don't have anything to stand on when you're under contract. And football's a lot different than basketball and baseball. You know,
those fines pile up if you're holding out.
Yeah, when you start getting that, you know, like what was it, you know, $50,000 a day or something. Cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. It's like
maybe I'll get my ass back.
Let me go, because like the wide receiver Terry McLaurin
came back. Now they got what they call a hold in.
Yeah,
they come to camp and they just watch, so they don't get fined. Trey Henderson did the same thing. The pass rusher.
I'm just here so I don't get fined. You know, they use that line. But he had like a 24-hour holdout, and he saw that first fine, like, let me get out there to practice. And you know, if you're Washington, that's the least distraction. You don't want that distraction because you coming off a great year last year. You got a good young quarterback. Rookie year was one of the best quarterbacks in the league. You got a good defense. I mean, you're a team ready to ascend with the Eagles and the Cowboys division. The last thing you want for that kind of team is to have distractions. And this is a major distraction for them. He's asking the same thing Parsons asking, I want to be traded.
Yeah, so watch those situations in NFL camps going on right now. We want to talk about baseball right now, and a very sad story. It happened on Monday. We got the news that the Hall of Famer Ryne Sandberg passed away after a battle with cancer. And this story is just so sad. I mean, you know, cancer's affected so many families. I think everybody's got a story about a friend or loved one who has been afflicted with cancer. But, you know, with Rhino, he was initially diagnosed with prostate cancer in January of 2024. And then last summer, he got the news, the scan showed that he was cancer-free. And he went on the radio and made an announcement that I got good news. Everything is checked out. I'm cancer-free. And then later in 2024, in December, they found out the cancer came back, and he'd been fighting it ever since. Even with getting chemotherapy and other treatments, he went to spring training this past season, this spring, and really kind of made bonds with a lot of the current players. So this hit the team extremely hard. And, you know, Rhino was a guy, you look at the things he did on the field, 10-time All-Star, 9 Gold Gloves. I mean, just an incredible baseball player. But, you know, he was part of that team in 1984 that really turned around the Cubs franchise. You know, they were kind of dead in the water, hadn't been in the playoffs in 40 years. And he kind of symbolized what that Cubs franchise is all about. I know that baseball fans around the world are mourning the loss of Ryne Sandberg.
Well, just a class act. I mean, you watch him play, you know, he played the game the right way, hustled, you know, just a phenomenal player. Could hit for power, hit for average, you know, spray the ball all over the place. You know, great infielder. You know, him and Sean Dunston, you know, turning those double plays were awesome to watch, and just carried himself with class. You know, he wasn't one of those me guys. You know, it's me. You know, he was all about the Cubs. He was all about the team, and he's, you know, always played knowing that. You know, I don't care if I go 4 for 4 as long as we win. You know, he didn't care about all the stats and stuff like that. So, you know, it's like Cal Ripken. You know, those guys come like once every, you know, 100 years. You get those kind of players that are selfless, that are, you know, really, really class acts and play the game the right way.
So the Cubs obviously will be honoring Ryne Sandberg throughout the remainder of the season. They have a patch on their jerseys. They had a moment of silence before Friday's game. And then on Saturday, they're all going to wear the pullover blue tops with number 23 with no names on it in a tribute to Sandberg, because that was his favorite jersey.
Yeah, and then what they should do on his statue, put underneath, add it, the greatest trade in Chicago sports history.
Well, a lot of people looked at it at the time that he was a throw-in in that deal.
Yeah, it's
It
kind
was
of
Javon DeJesus for Larry Boa, and this minor league infielder, Ryne Sandberg, was tossed in.
Yeah,
worked out pretty well.
Yeah, I'll take him too. Like, that's your bag of Doritos. That turned out to be pretty darn good.
You never know who you're going to get.
Yeah, and that's one of the things which leads us kind of to our next topic is the baseball trade deadline came and went on Thursday. A lot of Cub fans are angry that they didn't go all in to try to bring in a frontline starting pitcher. This team has the best offensive numbers in baseball, the best run differential in baseball, second best record in the National League, and yet their general manager decided to hang on to those prospects and not make a bold move because, when you get to the playoffs, Stacey, we've seen it so many times in baseball where the team with the best record doesn't always win.
No.
It's a team that's hot, a team that's got the best pitching, best bullpen, and the Cubs did not solidify. They picked up a couple of relievers. They picked up Michael Soroka, a starter who was 0-10 with the White Sox last year, and nobody was going to, really change things around. They didn't go all in, and that was all the talk leading up to it is, hey, we feel like we got a team that can get to and maybe win the World Series, and when you don't make that move, your fans are like, wait a minute, you got this, you're in a big market, you got all this revenue, and you sat back and said, well, we want to be a long-term team. We're not going to try to get it all in 1 year.
Interesting, because I think Theo would have went and got a frontline starter.
I think he would have, yeah.
Realizing how close you are to winning a World Series and being in position to win, I think Theo goes out and says, you know what, let's go. Let's go all in for right now because this is the closest we're going to get. You never know what you're going to be the next following year or how many years you're going to be away from winning it, again. I mean, look when they won their first one, what happened after that.
Yeah, and it was really kind of disappointing when you see what some of their top rivals in the National League did. San Diego Padres went out. They traded for Mason Miller, the fireballing closer for the Athletics.
Man.
They picked up 2 bats from the Baltimore Orioles, including Ramon Laureano, an outfielder. They did a good job of solidifying the back end of their bullpen. The Mets went out. They got a closer. They got a center fielder, Cedric Mullins from the Orioles. The Phillies picked up a closer, and the Cubs, they just kind of skirted around the edges. They got a couple of pieces that might help.
How do you do that, though, when you're in January? You get Kyle Tucker and then say we're going to be a top 3 team, top 2 team by record, and then
and I think this sends a real warning message to Cub fans is they might not have traded. Their top prospect is Owen Casey, who's a right fielder. They may not have traded him because they're like, well, we're not going to pay enough to bring Tucker back, so we got to keep this kid because he'll be our right fielder next year.
And he may not be
ready. I may be jumping the gun on that, but the Cubs have never wanted to get into the deep waters of free agency, and it's going to be deep water to re-sign Kyle Tucker.
Well, the core got him this far, and is that a belief system then that they can carry you all the way? And it's possible because the margin of victory is so slim in baseball, but just one injection in the arm can boost the club, just attitude, which makes a difference. So I don't know.
Especially a stud, a guy that you can trot out there, every few days, and that he's got a chance to win. Like when you saw Clayton Kershaw in his prime, like anytime he stepped on the mound, you're like, "Are we winning?" The confidence of that team, no matter if it's a 1-run game or a 5-run team, when Clayton Kershaw would go out there and pitch, you knew your chance of winning is probably like 99.5% chance of winning. And then when he would come in as middle reliever, he's like, he only have like 1 day rest and he'd go out there middle relief. You just knew anytime he was on the mound, you had a chance to win. So that's what that would have done for the Cubs if they would have went out and got someone like that. You don't know what their thinking is. They think that those prospects are more important right now because maybe they're basing on how they did last year when they went into a tailspin. It's like, okay, we got to go get a frontline starter. And we get rid of all our prospects, and then we go into a tailspin in the second half of the season.
Jed Hoyer's comments to the media were that none of the controllable starting pitchers were traded. The only guys that were moved were rentals. Guys that contracts are up at the end of the year, and then they're going to be free agents. So they wanted a controllable pitcher, and the price tag just got to be too high.
Well, I mean, is it too high if you win a World Series, your second World Series?
Yeah.
Is it too high then? I mean, Cubs Nation would have said, do what you got to do to win a championship.
And that's what they're all saying today.
Yeah, do what you got to do to win a championship. And especially a team that going into this, you have a shot. You just have to get one key piece that can push you over the top. Was there anyone out there that you could say, okay, this is the guy that can put us over the top?
Yeah, and then there were guys potentially available if you pay the price, and the Cubs were not willing to do that. We'll see how it turns out if they're able to hang on and get into the playoffs with a couple of months left to go in the season. A lot of interesting moves around baseball, including friend of the program, Carlos Correa is going back to Houston. If you can throw or hit, call the Minnesota Twins. They traded away 9 players at the deadline, including Carlos Correa, who was more than happy to go back to Houston.
Yeah, it was like a fire sale. It was like an estate sale. They get rid
Everything
of
must go.
the
team's for sale. That's one of the reasons.
Oh man, everything must go, man. To see Carlos Correa go back to Houston, wow, and he's still a young dude.
He's gonna play third.
Yeah. I mean, he's a big time bat, big time fielder. Man, that's a good pickup for the Astros.
So Houston's one of the contenders in the American League. The Yankees, as usual, made a lot of moves. The Tigers solidified their roster. So it's going to be interesting to see how things shake out down the stretch. But Cub fans right now are shaking their head, just disappointed that Jed Hoyer didn't go all in to try to get this team to the next step.
Did you guys hear Kaplan's rant?
Yeah.
Oh,
Our
beautiful.
friend David Kaplan was not happy.
Oh, yeah.
Disgusting.
No.
Yeah. That was a great rant, though. That's epic stuff right
Well,
there.
I think most Cub fans probably went through the same rant too. It's like, you don't it's not every year you're playing for an opportunity to be a World Series champion. And when you have that opportunity in baseball, you have to take that chance. And that's why I think, Theo is the general manager, who knows, but I kind of think he would have made that move.
Yeah, I was watching all the coverage on MLB Network, and my son's a huge Cubs fan, living in Milwaukee now, and he, at 5 o'clock, I texted him. I guess we got nobody. He goes, well, there's still time. Sometimes these trades trickle in after the buzzer, and then a half hour, you had the reality hit him. We didn't get nobody.
Yeah, sorry, son.
Kaplan brought up 2 really key points. One was some of these trades mean moving your margin of victory 0.5%, which is enough to win a World Series. Because, like I was just saying, that margin of victory is so narrow. I mean, the only thing closest is hockey. And then the other one is, if you're looking at Chicago sports, what team is closest to winning a title?
Well, it's the Cubs now.
Yeah, and you don't take advantage of it? What's happening here in this town? Yeah, nuts.
Yeah, the only good news is the commissioner was at Wrigley Field today saying the All-Star Game is coming to Chicago, 2027. That's a big event. That old ballpark, they've remodeled it. Of course, they've modernized it in a lot of ways, but still kind of small to be hosting the worldwide media for
Casey
for
better be
All-Star
there,
Week.
right?
I don't 2027. I don't think so. Yeah.
Who knows?
But it'll be interesting. The All-Star Showcase coming to Chicago in 2027. Time for our regular feature. What we're watching. Both Tim and I watched the Happy Gilmore sequel. There were a couple of laughs in there.
Yeah, I've been squirting hand sanitizer in my mouth now. It's been great.
John Daly playing a starring role in Happy Gilmore 2.
You know what? And Happy Gilmore was awesome the first time around. I think they waited too long to do it. I think they should have done it a little earlier than what they did. I mean, there's still some funny scenes in there, but I wish they would have done it a little bit earlier.
Yeah, and they had a lot of PGA golfers on there. Scotty Scheffler getting thrown in jail. That was funny.
Yeah, a lot of them, they played some funny parts. And it's all anecdotal comedy. I mean, you can't say, geez, the story was great. It's about the scenes.
No, there's no great
lines.
plot, yeah.
Yeah, it's scenes and lines, and I think they did what they were supposed to do.
Shooter McGavin turns into a good guy. How about that?
Does he?
Yeah.
But he's completely nuts, and that was funny. that was great.
So, if you're looking for a laugh and nothing too serious, it's worth it. Worth your time. Hour and 45 minutes, good watch.
Yeah, can't get that hour and 45 back, but it's
no.
good.
Sometimes you're just looking for a little mindless entertainment, and this definitely qualifies.
It does.
Because the summer is kind of like drags through because there's not a lot of sports on other than baseball. So you got to try to find either you find something to watch or you play a lot of video games like myself.
Well, if you're scrolling through X, you see the ad for Happy Gilmore 2 every couple.
And then the Naked Gun. They're doing a Naked Gun remake.
Yeah.
And they're doing a lot of ads on X with the Naked Gun.
Liam Neeson now.
Yeah, I don't know,
we
man.
talked about that last week. You
I
thought
don't know,
he could
man.
pull it
They
off.
showed some more clips, and I was like,
yeah,
I don't know, man. I don't know. They got somebody playing OJ's son on there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was like, no.
They're doing Taken 4 now, where Liam's in a wheelchair, where he gets taken from a old age home.
Wow. That's see.
Yeah.
We got canceled.
Maybe we should have left that alone.
We just got canceled.
Had to go there, Mark.
We just got canceled by senior citizens. Wow, Tim. Thank you.
So Stacey took my recommendation to check out The Amateur.
I tell you what, it was good. At first, I was kind of like, it was like unbelievable because he's like a little bookworm type of guy,
a nerdish guy,
nerdish guy. But
Lawrence Fishburne whipped him into shape.
Yeah, Lawrence Fishburne. At first, I didn't know if Lawrence Fishburne was a good guy or a bad guy.
Yeah.
In the beginning, And then as the movie went on, I said, okay, he's a good guy. He's looking out for him, whatever. But some of the stuff he did, like, I mean, he went to extreme to find out what he needed to find out. And some of the scenes where he, like, when he was killing people, oh man, I was like, because he's not a physical presence. Like you can't see him doing karate and all that
Rami
stuff.
Malek. We're talking about.
Rami Malek. You just see him killing people with the mind.
Every time I see him, that's what I think now.
Well, they said he was in the CIA, so we all know it now.
Man, but he was good in it, man. It was like you knew what was going to happen, but you didn't know.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So you were just waiting. But his stuff that he was doing, like the computer and knowing where people were and setting up traps for people and giving people a chance. He didn't want to kill people. He wanted to give you a chance to get the information that he needed, and then if you were quick enough to get away from whatever he trapped, he said for you, he says, I hope you can jump high and move quick. And then I'm thinking the dude was in there and it blew up. I was like, oh, how you didn't even give him a chance, dude? Really? So it's great. You need to watch it. And he's a good actor too. Yeah. He's a great actor. I like him. I'll watch anything with him in it.
Yeah, so The Amateur, it's on Hulu. I spent a long time watching the Billy Joel documentary, And So It Goes on HBO. This is an incredible story. It's 2 parts. It goes into great detail about his life. And, it's funny, so many creative geniuses have had, very difficult, tortured childhoods. His dad left him at an early age. And, he talks about past of his grandparents were in the Holocaust and so much hardship. He tried to kill himself a couple of different times. And all the torture that he goes through in terms of his songwriting and trying to make sure that every album is different and a different style. Because when you look at Billy Joel's career, he has gone through so many transformations in the style of his music. And he kind of just goes through this personal metamorphosis and almost torture in terms of trying to get all this creative material out. Really well done documentary, and it takes you through, the ins and outs of his career. He's on his 4th wife now. Of course, people remember the marriage to Christy Brinkley.
Was that the breakthrough?
She's interviewed in
that would get
documentary.
most guys out of depression back in the 80s.
Yeah, that is true. No, he said he was just trying to get away. He went to St. Bart's for a vacation, and she was there with a modeling group, and that's how they met. Yeah, he was just hanging out at a bar.
That would do it.
Yeah.
Well, his songs, like, really great storytellers, like, they've had to have a tragic life, because a lot of their songs are based off their own lives, So when you listen to this, like Piano Man, you listen to some of these songs, and then there's some upbeat songs that he's had, but you listen to some of his songs, they're kind of dark.
Yeah. Yeah, he was talking. His father left him and went back to Europe. Was living in Vienna, Austria. He's got a song called Vienna, and that was for his father, which I didn't know. And his father came back into his life later, as often happens with people.
Yeah, when he get famous,
make zillions of dollars.
Yeah,
hey, son, how you doing?
I've always loved you. I had to leave. I went to go get a loaf of bread, and they weren't selling it, so I had to go to Vienna to buy the bread. Yeah, okay, pal. Yeah.
But so he came back to the States, but Billy tells the story later that they never really struck a chord. That they were together, but they never really got close, which is kind of sad. But that's but you're out of a person's life for decades, many years, so you don't know that person, even though that may be your father and you're his son. You don't have that connection there because he's not there when you're, I don't know how long he's been out of life when he left him, but I'm just saying, if you've been out of his life for, 15, 20 years, those are 20 years you can't get back. There's no videos you can show him that you missed all these birthdays. And, his father's probably the reason why he went down a dark path. To not have your father in your life and then have your father not, really not even want you. So you can see why he's motivated writing his music. And late in his career, he actually took residence at Madison Square Garden. I didn't realize it lasted this long. 10 years. 10 years he was selling out shows at Madison Square Garden.
He's got the most appearances in Madison Square Garden.
I mean, it's unbelievable.
He's got the record of the most attendance and most played concerts in because you see him, they have the banners. Mm-hmm. He's got more banners than the Knicks. He's not a shot at the Knicks fans. Yeah. It's the truth. He's got more banners.
They got those 2 championships, 1970 and 73.
And then they got a Summer League championship. They got a banner up there, too, for a Summer League championship. I was like, okay, wow, okay. Well, okay, so we're celebrating Summer League championships now? Okay.
So if you're a fan of Billy Joel and you got HBO Max, check it out. It's really well worth your time.
Yes, good artist.
Anything else before we get out of here? You guys,
no,
anything else?
On that, Auf Wiedersehen.
We love you just the way you are. Thank you so much for watching and listening. I want to thank our great crew. Nick is here today in person. Nick, who puts out our great social media stuff.
Yes.
Cisco running the board, making sure we look good.
I met your grandfather.
Oh, really?
Oh, that's true.
At the I did an autograph signing thing over in Naperville this past weekend and met your granddad.
How about
Did he
that?
tell you? Yeah. Cool guy, man. We sat and chopped it up for like 20 minutes, man. He was like, he came up and told me he was Nick's grandfather.
How about that? Small
Give
world.
that kid a break. Don't do anything for
He
him.
said, make him work as hard as I had to work. Nothing came easy for me. Y'all just keep doing it. I said, hey, don't worry about it, Grandpa. We got him. You never know who you're going to meet in those places.
Yeah.
And that was a great success, too. We sold hot sauce there. It was like,
nice.
Tim was out there like he looked like he was working the street
Wheeling
corner.
and dealing.
He's out there on the street corner. The only thing he was missing some high heels and a skirt, but he was out there selling. Hot sauce. I was like, we're like rappers trying to sell our disc. It was fun. We had a lot of people out there. It was cool.
You had a long line.
It was cool out there, man. We had
great.
fun. So shout out to Naperville and the card signing. We had a blast. They had Dennis Hobson the next day. They always bring in the Bulls players, and you never know who's going to be there. But it was a lot of fun. Shout out to my man Tony Horner. He always hooks us up out there. Good job, Tony.
So they were giving away some hot sauce, but how can the folks at home get their bottle?
That's right. We
GimmeTheHotSauce.com, GIMME, thehotsauce.com. Use those codes, and they have been using them.
Yes.
And it's amazing how educated our audience has become to get that free shipping, and we'll get it out to you right away. So order up, and you can get the some specials on there, and
yes,
get it right out.
See, it was cool the other day when we had the hot sauce at the autograph signing thing because Tim had these special giveaways. So if you order, like you bought a bottle, okay, then you could go buy any other bottle and you get half off. So that even encouraged people to go buy more. So we were getting,
and you were signing them,
and I was signing the bottles too. It was good. I told Tim we need to start going out on the corners and just selling hot sauce.
Selling out the back of the van.
Just sell hot sauce. If kids can sell lemonade, why the hell can't we sell hot sauce? We can make a hot sauce stand and sell. So and that's what entrepreneurs do, baby. You got to get out there and do whatever you got to do.
You know what the best part was, though, Mark? One guy asked me for an autograph, but then later on, the guy says, "Wait, I know you from the radio, don't I?" I said, "No, I'm Stacey's sidekick on the podcast with Mark." He goes, "Yeah." I said, "You want an autograph?" He was like, "No, I'm good."
Hey, and Tim was hurt.
Celebrity is fleeting.
Tim was hurt, baby.
It took me a while to recover.
Yeah, he was hurt for about an hour, man. He was like, "Hey, man, you should have heard with this guy."
Got a big chocolate shake. I was okay after that.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, somebody screamed like a little kid. He had to get
Stacey put his arm around me.
I knew all
The
that.
Timmy Whispers fan club. Somebody's going to start one somewhere. Yeah.
But no, he has a fan base. There's a lot of people out there know Tim Whispers.
Hey,
you know what? You know what's funny though? You know what's funny? We have a YouTube channel, guys, and make sure you like and subscribe to the show. We send out shorts every week, so make sure you get on there and get on the YouTube channel. Give me the hot sauce.
He's talking about video clips, not actual shorts.
Yeah, but no, our show's on there. Our show's on there
Yes,
it's reposted later. Yep. But I read the comments. So any of y'all make comments, I actually read the comments, and sometimes I'll pop a comment in there. So one of the comments was, what does that dude Timmy Whispers do? He never says anything. He just sits there. And I said, so I popped in there and said, he's more valuable than you ever know. But it was just so funny.
That is exactly right. He's more valuable than you know.
The comments, when people make comments, even on Twitter or Instagram, you read DMs or whatever, it's not even the picture that you're watching or whatever, the meme or whatever. The funny thing is people's comments. When you go to the comment section, man, you'll be laughing for hours with some of these things that people say.
It's great stuff.
Oh, my God. Keep doing it, people. You people are funny out there. I like that. I like that.
Timmy Whispers, we love you just the way you are. So a brand new show coming at you next week. Until then.
Drive home safe in Chicago. Beat.
He didn't come for the massage. He came for the facial. Don't zoom on it. Does anybody know how to post videos to Facebook? There's a block by Ryne didn't get the invitation. That's a huge three. Mustard. Lonzo left alone. Able to swerve, bend that corner. That's the last time I'm going to see it. Williams straight on.